Welcome to Women's Sports Weekly, where women's sports happen every day, but we talk about it once a week. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Carolyn. Women's Sports Weekly is a podcast where we discuss the latest news, explore interesting stories, and share our love for women's sports. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at WomensSportsWeeklyPod. Follow us and rate us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Send us an email at WomensSportsWeeklyPod@gmail.com, and we may feature your email on the Listener Experience Zone, the Les. Before we get started, we do have a scheduling update we need to share with our listeners. So we are going on vacation.
Woo!
We will be on vacation for the next 2 weeks, but don't worry. We have episodes scheduled for these next couple of weeks. Next week, we will feature an interview that we did on Sports and Shenanigans, and we are the ones who are interviewed in that episode. So exciting to hear maybe a different perspective, not us talking about the sports, but talking about ourselves just a bit more. And then the following week, we have a very special interview with my sister, Allie, who is a former college softball player and current high school coach. And she gives us all the details on what it's like to be a high school coach on an all-women's staff, an all-women's team at an all-women's school. So it is very fun. And there is a lot of playfulness as well in that one.
So we really hope you all check it out, and we will be excited to come back to our regular scheduled programming the following week after those 2 weeks. But I don't know about you. I'm very excited for vacay.
Your girls need a vacay. We need one bad. I'm very much looking forward to it as well. And we'll give you some more details when we return.
Yeah. Run Club this week. We will meet at the 99ers Sports Bar on Thursday at 6 p.m. And the secret word this week is Chicago, which we'll explain more. If you say that word to the bartenders after you run 3 miles with us and hang around, you will get 50% off your first draft. So we hope to see you there.
We had a rough past weekend.
We did. As we said at the end of the last episode, we had big plans. Carolyn had big plans of going to her first ever WNBA game, and we were supposed to be in Chicago for the Chicago Sky versus Minnesota Lynx game. After a series of unfortunate events, we had to make the call not to go any longer because not 1, not 2, but 3 flights that we tried to get on were all canceled between Thursday night and Friday morning. So it wasn't even the span of one date. We tried our best, and by the time we would have been able to get on a flight, it was solely on Friday night that we were like, we will be in Chicago for 12 hours, and I just don't mentally think any of us could have done that.
And we were getting beaten down. And on top of that, we were going with our friends Lex and Sarah. We were flying United. They were flying Southwest, and they were getting canceled too. I guess there was some weather in the area, but then one of our planes was canceled due to technical issues. It was just like you said, the series of unfortunate events, and we just got beaten down. And we were like, we have to call it. The universe does not want us to be in Chicago for some reason.
Between the 4 of us, between our United flights and their Southwest flights, it had to be at least 6, 7 flights that we collectively tried to get on and could not get on. So to your point, we were just like, the universe is telling us something. I don't know why, but we're stuck here in Denver.
It wanted us to miss an amazing Chicago Sky game.
When we booked this trip, I was like, well, likelihood of this being a good game was low in my head because, as we said last week, Minnesota Lynx was at the top in the standings and Chicago's definitely on the lower side. We just didn't think it would even be a chance for Chicago to win this game, but we'll share in our first highlight the game because it actually was a great game and we are just so sad we missed it. So the Chicago Sky won this game at home, 87-81. They took the lead at the end of the first quarter and kept the lead for the remainder of the game. Lynx made some runs throughout the game, but they could not get in front of the Sky. The Sky really not only stuck around, but stayed on top throughout this game.
And we were watching this game this past weekend because we love to punish ourselves more. And then the Chicago Sky start winning. And we are like, we're sick. On top of that, before the game, they have t-shirts out for Angel Reese. And I know you're going to talk about that. But I was like, I love a free t-shirt. It looks so cool. And now we're not getting a t-shirt. we're not seeing an amazing game. We weren't able to sell our tickets. It was just like punch after punch after punch after having all of our flights canceled.
Yeah, it was really sad. You mentioned the t-shirts. So fans who attended this game received t-shirts with Angel Reese's 2026 cover. She is now the headline for the NBA 2026 cover for that video game.
We're not
into video games, but
it looks sick.
But there are 3 cover stars and she's the headline. So that picture from the game is literally on the t-shirt that everyone received that game. And we never sold our tickets. So we were literally like, if anyone from Chicago Sky is listening right now, please mail them. We'll send you as many stickers as you want. This is our plea.
We'll send you all the stickers. We need 4 t-shirts, please.
Because our 4 tickets did not sell and our t-shirts were just rotting in the stands.
I hate this so much. This is painful.
So back to the game. Chicago entered this game with a record of 7-12. They are 1-10 this season against teams that are 500 or better. So again, this is a huge win for them.
This was their first win over a team that was 500 or better. That's crazy.
And not only is it a team that's scraping by 500, it's like the top team in the league. They also won back-to-back games for only the second time this season. So again, we were just taking L's left and right. Angel Reese, not only does she come out to see her face on every shirt in the stand, she also had a great game. 8th consecutive double-double. 19 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists.
I saw a stat today that she leads the league in rebounds, and people love to make horrible comments that it's because she gets her own offensive rebounds. If you were to remove her offensive rebounds, she would still lead the league in rebounds. She's a rebounding monster.
I love that stat, and I love that you looked into that because that's absolutely right. People just like to talk shit all the time, and she claimed it and called it me-bounds and made a ton of money off of that, so good for her. Center for the Chicago Sky, Camila Cardoso, also had a huge game. She had 17 points, 15 rebounds, and 2 assists. Now, pretty consistently, the player of the game has been either Camila or Angel. They both had great performances, but this game, this went to someone else. Ariel Atkins had 27 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 steals, and she was given player of the game.
I was really happy for Ariel Atkins because we had a chance to join her in a post-game press conference when she played at Unrivaled, and I was just super impressed with her as a person. I was like, wow, I would want to be on a team with her because she seems like such a great teammate. And so to see things clicking for her, I think is just amazing.
Yeah, and in that Unrivaled post game, literally that was her first Unrivaled game because she came in because there were so many injuries and she had such a great game there. So yeah, it was cool to have that experience with her back in the spring and now to see her play so well over the weekend. Good for her. And then Napheesa Collier led the Lynx with 26 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. That is a hell of a stat line. But the Lynx just overall struggled to hit shots. And unfortunately for them, they took the loss in this game.
And the Chicago Sky played great and the place was going wild. And I just, tears continue to flow.
I know. We really thought we were going to find some players out on the town on Saturday night post game, but I guess it'll just have to be left to our dreams.
Exactly. And maybe eventually I'll get to a WNBA game, but it's not this past weekend.
Well, with that, we will move on to some soccer.
Yeah, let's talk about something else. Not that I don't like talking about the WNBA, but it's getting too painful at this point.
We'll get you to a game at some point. If anyone in the W is listening, we need to get Carolyn to a game. This is our campaign.
Yes. All right, let's talk about some soccer. So Tobin Heath announced her retirement this past week from soccer. This is almost 3 years after her last appearance and is following multiple surgeries that she incurred on her left knee. She is a midfielder, and as a midfielder, she won 2 World Cups and 2 Olympic gold medals and a 13-year career with the U.S. women's national team. She has 181 appearances for them, and then at the club level, she's won 2 NWSL championships with the Portland Thorns, as well as 2 NWSL Shields, 1 with the Thorns and 1 with the Seattle Reign. Again, the Shield is the team with the best record. We've been seeing this more and more of players who sometimes ghost their retirement retirement players who have been gone for a while and then announce their retirement. I know that it was a really difficult decision for her. She said that she really thought she was going to come back. She thought she was going to make it back after the surgeries. And then it just became more and more evident that it wasn't going to happen. And so I can imagine that when the retirement is not entirely your decision and your body says that's enough, that's a very difficult decision to make.
It has to be so hard. If you've been listening, you know a few years ago, I ruptured my Achilles, and obviously by no means am I a professional athlete. But coming back from that injury was very difficult. And for these players who not one, not two, but have multiple injuries and surgeries and trying to come back, eventually it's just like, how much can my body take? And I think to your point, players sometimes just have to make the call mentally and physically. I just can't do this anymore. And Tobin has talked openly about how much she loves the game. And obviously it must be really hard. But I'm happy she announced it. And I feel like it provides closure for the players. So I'm happy she's giving herself that. And then one of my favorite things is on her and Kristen Press's podcast, they were talking about the retirement, and don't quote me, but she said something along the lines that like the best thing football gave me was you, meaning Kristen Press. And if you know the U.S. women's national team, they're together. I think they got married, some sources said over the weekend, but I thought that was super sweet. And if you follow our social medias, Carolyn posted that on our story over the weekend, and she said it's like me and Carolyn when we met in bar softball. So obviously we're just like Kristen Press and Tobin Heath.
Obviously. They actually copied us with the podcast.
Yeah. I mean,
same as Sue and Megan.
Same thing. But in all seriousness, congratulations to Tobin Heath. I look forward to keep following her and Kristen Press in whatever they do.
Announcing a retirement allows you to get your flowers and get the recognition that you deserve. Like you said, it is a ceremony of sorts that puts an end to the ritual. And I think that's a really nice thing to do, to give to the fans and then to also receive that back. We should be talking about this. And so to announce it, now we get to talk about her awesome career.
For sure.
All right, let's move on to our next highlight. Danielle, you won Wimbledon. How does it feel?
You know, I was just born to be a tennis player. Again, if you're new to the podcast, welcome. If you've been around, you have heard that Carolyn thinks that when I'm wearing my on hat and Iga's wearing her on hat, we look similar. The more I do look at her, I'm like, the less I think we look like each other, but I'll still take it.
If she takes off the hat, you don't look like her. But Iga Świątek did win Wimbledon, and we will get into it, but she played American Amanda Anisimova, and I want to take some time to talk about Amanda Anisimova before we get into Iga's win at Wimbledon. So Amanda Anisimova was ranked number 13, and she beat Aryna Sabalenka in the semifinals to make it to her first Grand Slam finals. The score of that was 2-1. She won the first one, lost the second one, and then won the third, which is huge to do, to come back in that third set. It's interesting because I was watching the match against Aryna Sabalenka, and after she won, I have to say, the announcers in tennis throw a lot of shade all the time. They say things that are so out of pocket sometimes. They need a little bit more PR training. They're just like a little wild. But after she won, the announcer who was covering the match was like, well, now everyone's going to want to take off 8 months after seeing what Amanda Anisimova just did. And we're going to talk about this, but Amanda Anisimova did take off 8 months due to mental health reasons. And I just think it's so interesting that announcer had to throw shade in a way, like taking off 8 months is a bad thing. And I'm like, yeah, actually, you're right. More players should look at taking breaks to make sure that they're taking care of themselves. And I don't think Amanda Anisimova wanted to take that break by any means. I think it was probably, and I don't want to be hyperbolic, but I'm assuming if it was for mental health reasons, it could have been between like life and death, right? And she decided that she needed to take care of herself.
And I think I'm going to go back to Alexi Pappas, how she explains it. She's a runner. If you have mental health problems going on or depression, that is like an injury. You just can't see it. And because people can't see it, they like to say certain things, but good for her for taking care of herself, and shame on the announcer for saying that. Like literally tisk tisk.
Tisk tisk. So let's talk about Amanda a little bit more. As a pro in 2019, she won her first WTA title and reached the semifinals at Roland Garros at 17 years old. That very same year in 2019, she withdrew from the US Open after the death of her father, who was also her longtime coach.
Jeez.
So yikes, like horribleness. Then in 2023, she announced an indefinite break from the sport. And again, you don't take that lightly. If you are a tennis player, so much depends on your ranking, and you have to pay your own coaches. And the only way you pay your coaches is if you continue to play and you rank high. So for her to say, I'm taking a break, that means she's falling out of the WTA ranking. That's hurting her financially. So I'm sure that was a very difficult decision, but she did do that. In 2023, she was quoted saying, I've really been struggling with my mental health and burnout since the summer of 2022. At this point, my priority is my mental well-being and taking a break for some time. I've worked as hard as I could to push through it. At that time, she was ranked number 46 in the world. She took 8 months off and returned at the start of the season in 2024. In 2024, like we just said, she was out of the top 400.
Wow. That has to be a big shift, and that's a big number. That is hard to climb your way back up.
At the end of the 2024 season, she rose all the way back up to 189, which still is not high, but at least she's back in the rankings. And then she opens up this 2025 season. She won the biggest title of her career at the 1,000 level Qatar Open in February and reached her first grass final at the Queen's Club last month. She did call her comeback a little bit of a roller coaster, but all along the way, she's credited her break of, I needed that in order to be where I am now. And then as of the start of Wimbledon, she was ranked 13 in the world, just rose through the rankings.
And 13 to you.
Oh,
Might
I
be
love
an
13.
unlucky number to some people, but you probably love that.
And after beating Aryna Sabalenka and after making it to the finals in Wimbledon, she'll definitely rise in those rankings. Sure. So just really, really a cool comeback story. Let's get to the finals because it was a little bit of a disappointing finals for Wimbledon. So she takes on Iga Świątek, who's number 8 in the world for Iga, is a low ranking, and she's been struggling this season, and she dominates this match. 6-0, 6-0 to win Wimbledon. She did not lose one game.
It's cool to see someone dominate like that. And at the same time, it was painful to watch because it looked like Amanda could not do anything right.
Yeah, she was double faulting.
Yep. And I think she got in her head a little bit, which obviously, how could you not? And Iga is a huge name. If you know anything about tennis, you know her name. And Amanda said, like, if you've told me however many years ago that I would be in this position, I wouldn't believe you. I think a lot of being on a big stage like that, it does take time because if you've never been there before, doesn't matter how many games you played, whatever the sport is, it's just not the same stage as any other game. So to her credit, this is her first time being there. And if she gets there again, I can almost guarantee she will play so much better knowing what to expect. And Iga has been in that position before and has never won it before. So I just wanted to point that out too. I think part of it really does have to do with, have you been there or not before? Yeah. But I just felt bad for her because she was just having a rough day out there.
And you learn more from your losses than you do from your wins. And I do think that is going to stay with Amanda Anisimova. I do think Iga Świątek played out of her mind. This was actually her first Wimbledon final, but she had progressed through Wimbledon before, but she is more of a clay player.
And I'll clarify, when I said she's been there before, other Grand Slam finals she's been, not, but to your point, hasn't necessarily been at this one before, but she's been on the same type of stage before.
That's exactly right. To drive that point home a little bit more, when Iga makes it to a Grand Slam final, she has never lost.
That's incredible. Do you know how many?
Yes. She has won the French Open 4 times.
Wow.
She won the US Open once. And now she's won Wimbledon. So all she has left is the Australian Open, which is hard court. And I think Iga was surprised that she made it to the Wimbledon finals, especially with the year that she's been having. It hasn't been as dominant. And grass is her least favorite surface, her least dominant surface that she plays on. And she was able to do this. So putting her mark on history, and I do think she will get an Australian Open.
Ooh, calling it here now.
Do you think you can do it, Danielle? You tell me. You're Iga. Can you do it?
You know, my confidence is pretty high right now. I'm feeling it. I'm going for it.
There you go.
We are going to pause for a quick ad for ourselves. Please rate and subscribe to our podcast. We really do love putting this podcast together and want to continue to do it. We create, produce, and edit the podcast ourselves. So if you would like to support us, if you rate, if you subscribe on any of the platforms you listen on, give us a positive review, share it with people you love. This all helps because it helps other people find us, and we just really appreciate the support. If you have rated the podcast 5 stars and you send us a screenshot of that rating, you could email it to us, or you can send it to us via DM on Instagram. We will send you a sticker. So please continue to do that. If you haven't shared our podcast with a friend yet, please do. And we just hope to continue to grow. So thank you to all of our listeners who are here and who have been here. We appreciate you.
Let's get into our deep dive this week.
Yes, we are going to talk about boxing. I was going to say we've never talked about boxing before, but we have. But we have gotten into it a little bit in the past.
Algerian boxer Amane Khalif during the Olympics when horribleness was happening with her.
Yes, we're going to talk about boxing again today. And this has to do with a huge match that took place over the weekend, Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano.
And to be very fair, we are not boxing people.
We're not?
I don't like to watch people get hurt. And so a lot of times when I'm watching boxing, especially MMA fighting, I'm like, this is way too violent for me. I can't do it. Boxing is definitely easier for me to watch. But let's get into why this was such a big deal. So this match was the headline match of the night, and it was also on Netflix. It was at Madison Square Garden. It was a sold out crowd. In 2022, they actually headlined at Madison Square Garden. It was the first time that women headlined a match, and it was the first sellout. And then they sold out again at Madison Square Garden. So let's go through the history here. This was their third time going up against each other. In the first 2 matches, Katie Taylor won, but neither of them were knockouts, and one of the matches was a split decision.
What is a split decision?
So I had to look this up. This is what I was doing all night when we were watching the match. I was like, hold on, I don't know what this is. I need to look it up. I don't know what this is. I need to look it up. In boxing, a split decision occurs because they have 3 judges. When 2 out of the 3 judges score the fight for one boxer, while the third judge scores it for the other boxer. It's very subjective and very difficult how the judges have to score this based on, I actually don't know what it's based on, but like punches landed, I don't know, power of the punches, whatever it is that they use, but it seems very subjective. The split decision is a way for the winner to be determined when the judges don't agree on who performed better. So flashback to 2022 when they first met each other. Katie Taylor defeated Amanda Serrano by split decision at Madison Square Garden in a fight that was widely considered the fight of the year. Their matches have been very, very aggressive in the past. Lots of blood splatter everywhere. They meet again in 2024, and Taylor again defeats Serrano. This time it was by unanimous decision, and this was along with the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight that happened.
Okay.
This fight was also highly debated, with some believing that Amanda Serrano was the better fighter, and then Katie Taylor was also getting point deductions because she kept headbutting Amanda Serrano, which is not allowed. She actually cut up Amanda Serrano's eye, and like it was just bleeding. You know, if you've ever gotten hit on the face, that your face just bleeds so much. So another highly contested match, and then they meet for this third and what they are saying their final time, because they are getting sick of boxing each other, this past weekend.
And before we get into that, Amanda Serrano is from Puerto Rico and Katie Taylor is from Ireland. So in the stands, very cool to see people holding the Puerto Rican flag and showing their pride through that, and the same thing with the Irish flag. So I thought that was cool to see both of those represented.
Yeah, and since it was at Madison Square Garden, it was definitely leaning more towards Serrano. She's from Puerto Rico, but she lives in Brooklyn. And if you've been to New York before, you know that they have a very large Puerto Rican population. So they were riding hard for her at this match. Just watching this baseline, we don't watch a ton of boxing. It is like theatrics to the max. I was amazed. I was like, wow, this feels like I'm actually on Broadway, the way that everything was happening.
Yeah, because on the Jumbotron, they're playing kind of like a movie clip, like a trailer before each of the fighters come out. Yeah. And because they have so much history, they were showing highlights from previous matches and the music, and there were people performing. It really was like a show.
It was over the top. And this is also two women who in the athlete spectrum are older. Amanda Serrano is 36. Katie Taylor is 39 years old. They are as fit as can be. We looked up their ages and I was amazed. That was another thing I was doing that night. So Serrano comes out and she is repping Puerto Rico hard. She has live music to start, and then she plays a New York song and is just pumped to be there.
I mean, I was fired up with her coming out.
Oh my God. The crowd was going wild. Very stark contrast to how Katie Taylor came out.
Yes.
She came out to like Christian music.
Slow. Like a slow song.
And pretty much put the crowd to sleep.
And she was walking out slow, in beat with this very slow song.
Yeah, it was this slow Christian music, and she really looked like she was taking one step at a time, like someone who walks down the aisle.
Literally, a bride walking down the aisle.
Lots of theatrics to start in the beginning, but we get into the match, and both of them are taking this match in a different light. They're both coming in very timid. I guess they took some notes from their previous two matches. It was very physical. It was like, hit you in the face, I'm going to hit you right back. There's going to be blood splatter everywhere. And I think Amanda Serrano was like, I need to learn from these past two matches, and I'm going to take a step back and try to be a little bit more technical here as well. So it started out pretty timid.
Yeah. And one of the things that I know, so the rounds go very fast.
Yes.
Again, boxing is not something that I am hugely familiar with. So definitely something I want to get more into. But I was surprised at how quick the rounds go. They're 2 minutes each. And in the beginning, when you say timid, I feel like it was a lot of strategy, right? I feel like they were more on the defensive end. Like, I feel like more strategic. In between rounds, they really key in on the fighters one at a time, and they were both so locked in, like their coaches in their ear. They're just staring straight ahead, listening, but not even giving feedback.
Them.
Like,
I know.
Katie Taylor at one point, you were just like, is she okay? Because she was just stone-faced, and it didn't even look like she was acknowledging what was being said to her. It was very interesting.
Yeah, she looked like a little out of it, but it wasn't even because she was getting hit hard. Like, I just think she was so in the zone almost, and that's why she looked that way. But I was like, is she okay?
Yeah.
Multiple times on the broadcast, they were saying that it was really tough to judge because what would happen during this match is that someone would connect with a hard punch, but then there would be an immediate like 1-2 counter punch from the other person. They were like, so we don't really know how the judges are going to score that. So that's difficult for me because I'm like, I wish it was a little bit more clear. Like the score was at the bottom so you could clearly see who's up or who's down. But in the 6th round, you could tell that they tried to increase the pace a little bit and they both came out a little bit more aggressive.
Yep.
But in a snap, it's the 10th round.
Oh
and I'm like, this is over and I don't really know who won. And in the 10th round, it definitely seemed like Katie Taylor made more connections, but I was like, I don't know about 1 through 9. Like Katie Taylor won that round to my eye, but I don't know about any of the others.
Yeah, same. I was just like, this is going to be a surprise to me. And I watched the whole thing.
And I'm happy that we're not like total dummies because the commentators were saying the same thing. They couldn't tell who won. They have an unofficial scorecard, and the unofficial scorecard had them at 95 to 95.
Yeah, so we're not that off base.
And then they go to the judges, and one judge had them tied at 95-95, and then the other two had Katie Taylor winning at 97 to 93. So Katie Taylor takes it home again.
Yeah, that has to be hard for Amanda Serrano, but after each match, because I've seen some of the highlights, they hug, and I feel like they have respect for each other. Sucks to go 3 matches and lose all 3, but definitely entertaining. It is still on Netflix, so you can go back and rewatch if you're interested in checking it out.
You should do it.
I enjoyed it a lot.
And Amanda Serrano, after the match, she said so many amazing things. She just got beat, and she was like, this is just such a wonderful night for women's boxing.
Yes.
Everyone who's come out, all the women who boxed before them. So that was really, really cool. They were both complimentary of each other. It's so interesting to me, like you punch each other in the face and then you say nice things about each other, but that's boxing, baby. And I liked it.
Yeah, for sure. So with that, we will dive into what we are looking forward to this week. What do you have for us, C?
We're both looking forward to the same thing, and that is WNBA All-Star Weekend.
Yeah, baby.
Coming up in Indianapolis. On Friday, July 18th is the 3-point contest and skills challenge at 8 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN. I have a hot take. Alicia Gray's taking both again.
And I was just going to highlight that she won both last year. So that is a hot take for her to come back and win them both again. We will see.
I don't even know if she's doing them, but I'm telling you, she's getting them both. What about you, Dee? What are you looking forward to this week?
So in the same vein, the WNBA All-Star Game will take place this Saturday, July 19th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC. It is a game you will not want to miss out. The captains this year, Nafisa Collier and Caitlin Clark, they drafted their teams. They were talking some trash during the draft, so it's definitely going to be fun to see. So check it out.
And if you're wondering about who's on the All-Star team, you can listen to our episode last week, and we go all into it.
Yep.
That's it for this week. We will see you next week on Women's Sports Weekly. In the meantime, watch women's sports and share the podcast with your friends. Rate and subscribe to the pod on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. Thanks for joining us.